Good evening and welcome to Bent TV. Tonight in Queer Idea, the topic is domestic violence. We meet Russell Vickery, who has turned his personal story of domestic violence into a one-man show called The Other Closet, The Cabaret. And then in Staying Alive, David, Gordon and Leanne discuss the proposed PrideCentre for Melbourne. And then to finish on a lighter note, Between the Sheets with Dean, Kirsty and Michael discussing Pokemon Go. Is it ruining our lives?
Hi and welcome to Queer Idea. I'm Anthony Lekkas and my guests today are Matthew and Russ from My Other Closet, The Cabaret. Welcome guys.
Thank you.
So, My Other Closet, The Cabaret, what's that about?
Well, My Other Closet, The Cabaret is a project that we've been working on together for many years now. It's a bit of a unique thing. It's an education piece, it's a theatre piece, it raises awareness about domestic violence and LGBTI relationships, but does so in a manner that's, I think, hopefully engaging and enjoyable and entertaining.
So bringing domestic violence together with a cabaret show, how did that come about?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Who does that? How did it come about? I've been singing in a number of venues for a while. Matthew and I got together and in fact went to Adelaide Fringe. We went to a whole heap of performances and one night came back to our hotel room and thought, you know, we spend a lot of time and a lot of energy doing one-off gigs. And you know, maybe we should do something that's a little more important. So, what should we do? And
I'd studied production and film, and had always been told if you have a unique insight into something, write about that. So we knew that Russell had previous experience of domestic violence in a same-sex relationship, and thought, well, you can sing. You know, we can write a show. We can produce this. It sounds crazy enough that it might actually work, and that seems to be what's happening.
Right, because I'm interested about that, because domestic violence is an issue that is incredibly confronting just to talk about. It's not a sort of conversation you hear people have generally anyway. And to connect it to the entertainment industry, I'm wondering about any controversies around that. I mean, when we're discussing with such, you know, sensitive topics.
Well, there's been plenty of controversy. You know, we've done a number of interviews promoting the show. We did a season in Sydney a couple of years ago, and a lot of promo interviews and whatever. And you know, of course, the wowsers and the people who are not comfortable with our lifestyles certainly.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting pressure from both the queer community and from kind of anti-marriage equality people, where the queer community is sort of going, oh, we shouldn't talk about domestic violence at a time like this because, you know, you're giving ammunition to this other group,
right,
who are going to, you know, say that our relationships aren't legitimate and
problematic, you know, anyway.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of many years of trying to convince or, you know, portray our relationships as valid and not you know, not actually a mental illness and worthy of the same respect. And so to come forward and say that actually sometimes they're toxic, some of the queer community have come back and said, you shouldn't be talking about this. And then interestingly, we've then found our promotional material on anti-marriage equality websites to say, like, look, here it is. This is why they shouldn't be allowed to marry.
So, I mean, it's highly political work to try and put a show together, isn't there, to get this message across. Can I ask, when we talk about domestic violence, and I agree that it's not something that's discussed enough in our community, what do you mean when we talk when you say domestic violence?
Well, domestic violence is a number of things. Domestic violence can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be a whole range, it can be financial, it can be a whole range of things. My personal experience, which is where the show came from, was a little bit of all of it. And so, I just felt that it was really important when I came out the other end of it, that experience needed to be put together and portrayed out into the community to show that there are positives. There's positives involved in your life when you move on.
So healing from
absolutely
domestic violence. And I'm wondering if this is part of what this Cabaret show is about. It's a sort of journey. It's a sort of an outcome that where you've found a place to have healed from it. And is it therapeutic to be able to perform it in this setting?
It's the sort of show that you don't, you would never be able to do if it was therapy. You have to be. You have to be healed because you've got to go back to those places all the time, and for the audience to be able to have a real experience of it. So you need to be healed. You need to be healed.
So what role do either of you play in this show, in the Cabaret show?
Well, so it's a one-man show. Rusty is up there all on his lonesome. But I produce and direct and sort of co-wrote. We brought a professional writer along the way. We've engaged a dramaturge, which helps us kind of, they're like a coach for the performance. But also, I think sometimes they act as mediator between us, working as a couple on something that we're both very passionate about.
Right.
It tends to sometimes, ironically, lead to conflict between us. So our fabulous dramaturge helps us iron out those kinks and make sure that we're both achieving, what's right for the show, and that we don't also.
Let's just say it's an artistic collaboration.
Fairly sensitive topic. Your relationship is on. You're trying to sort of work on the show as sort of as colleagues as well as partners. So and around fairly sensitive information as well. So what do you expect to gain from producing a show like this? What outcomes are you hoping to achieve?
And I guess from my perspective, what I want is. If there's anybody out there in the audience that's going through it or knows somebody who's going through it, that we give them something positive. We give them at least the answer that there is an answer to this, and yes, you can get out of it. You don't have to live in that sort of an environment. And so, we just need one person. One person out of the whole time that gets some benefit out of the show, and we've been successful as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I think even just talking about domestic violence and LGBTI relationships is in and of itself is raising awareness. I hope people who watch this, hopefully see that domestic and family violence isn't just men's violence against women. Like, that's definitely important, and statistically that's a very large number of who experiences this, but it does happen to LGBTI people, and I think without discussing that and raising that awareness, it's very difficult for LGBTI people to have the language to speak about it. Right.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about it today. Hopefully we can continue to talk about it. Thanks for coming on the show today, guys. It's My Other Closet, the Cabaret. Check out the website, and you've been watching Queer Idea. Thanks for watching.
Hello and welcome to Staying Alive. It's a panel show about our ageing community. But we're not old farts. We're actually still people who are really well connected. Although this one here sitting next to me, she's a bit of an old fart. Hello, Leanne.
Hello, David. Thank you for that.
And Gordon sitting up the end there. Hello, Gordon.
I'm the oldest fart, yes.
Yeah, you are. Now, today's topic that we're going to talk about is that the Andrews government have just announced, now what is it? It's a new centre?
Yep, they're calling it the PrideCentre, and the last budget had $15 million towards that PrideCentre.
Is that to buy a property, or is it to just set up some property that everybody will be paying rent in?
I think that's still being talked about at the moment, if it's an existing building or whether it'll be something from scratch. Obviously, the government wants to get the best value
they
for
can
their
the
dollar.
money. Yeah, that's
so,
And I believe that the City of Melbourne's going to be involved as well, therefore, so they're going to get the building from the City of Melbourne.
well, I'm not sure. I don't think that's 100%. I think.
well, see, you would know more than us. Because why would you know more than us?
Well, I'm the general manager at Switchboard.
Oh, look at her. She's really important.
So we're one of a number of community groups, organisations that are involved in the sort of consultation and planning stage about.
So
what
you've been asked?
We've been asked for our opinion.
Right.
So
Good.
I guess everyone has to see how it works out.
No, that's what I
But,
meant. Your opinion. Yeah.
There's some talk that it should be central, so whether that's CBD or just on the fringes of Melbourne, because the plan is not just to have a building that houses community groups and LGBTI organisations, but to actually have some public space as well. So whether that's a cafe, a resource centre, meeting rooms, those sorts of things. So it needs to be accessible in terms of transport, different hours of the night, you know, weekends.
It has to have public transport going past the door or something.
That's right.
Because
Now,
otherwise it won't work.
the reason I wanted to bring it up today is that it's not about a drop-in centre. So, well, it is, but it's not to, it has to be an organisation that will then use it. Is that right?
Well, I think that the plan is because the community organisations we have across Victoria go from very big to very small. And so the plan is to actually try and accommodate all of that by people who will physically be there, you know,
office
all the time, but also to have those smaller groups, give them access to a place where they can have a hot desk, access to IT, perhaps other services, meeting rooms, and even just some sort of incubator where people can work together and collaborate. And it might be the bigger organisations have resources, say around web design or accounting or something like that, that the smaller organisations might be able to use. It's, as I said, really early days, but I think the idea is to try and be as inclusive as possible, and to also have a physical Pride Centre, but to also talk about a virtual Pride Centre so that other country areas of Victoria are included, because there's some great work being done, you know, Shepparton and Geelong and Warrnambool and down in Gippsland. So those organisations need to feel part of that as well.
Now, they're going to need a pretty big building then. It's not going to be small.
Yeah, I can't remember what the sort of estimates are, but we're talking quite a number of floors.
Oh, you'd have to.
And we're talking also about they're talking about also 15 million sounds like a lot of money, but it's not if
really.
you're looking for something that has to go on for a period of time. So there needs to be perhaps some sustainability around that and how that's done as well.
Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is because of the ageing community, is that there's not as many organisations as there could or should be. Should one be set up so that it then becomes part of it? So, as you were saying, the hot desk or a meeting room or whatever. Gordon, you're part of Vintage Men and you meet weekly.
That's right. Yes.
What would you think about moving that to this hub?
Well, it'd probably be of benefit, but then, like, we get calls from people like I had a call yesterday from somebody in Berwick that she was a carer for a 90-year-old man who wanted to sort of re-establish some contact with the gay community. Yep. And so I put her onto one of our Thursday lunches, which we always have, you know. So she was very pleased about that. She said, she could bring him down from Berwick to St Kilda to do that, which was lovely. And I said, well, you would be able to sit at the table with him, you know, so he wouldn't be And she said, oh, could I? And I said, yes, of course you could. You know, we don't mind.
But don't you think it would? And that sounds fantastic. And I've actually been to one of your meetings. There is a meeting here tonight, and it was fantastic. It was really good. I did a little talk at it, and I really got a lot out of it. And I think that it would be fantastic if that was part of the hub, or another organisation with the ageing population, so that you're around other younger, and what instead of being off to one side in like in the community centre you're in, is to be there so you're seeing all the youth or all the late 30s and 40s, like coming in and out. And I think that would do the world of good for the older community, don't you think?
Oh,
yeah, well,
sure.
You've got to realise that the older community, most of them are still in the closet, which is a problem. So that coming into a gay space like that would probably be a bit daunting for some of them. But then they would come in.
So
and
they
then
need to build some big closets in there.
Yeah,
Is that
they
what
can
you're
have big
saying?
closets. Yeah. But it would. You're right. It would benefit with the mixing of the generations, so that the younger generations can know what went on before they were born. Because we've got stories we could tell. I can tell you.
And that's the wonderful thing. It could be, like your group telling the stories to the -18 because it's easier for them to get to this hub, and then backwards for the -18 to come in, or the switchboard to come in and talk to so that the older generation is getting a first-hand account of exactly what's going on in the community, instead of feeling a little bit on the outside.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's some talk about the Gay and Lesbian Archives actually having a bigger role to play, and rather than having everything in storage, to actually have displays and things like that. So that could be a project that the archives people and older people and younger people could work on in terms of mixing technology with the old, stuff that they've got in boxes and doing that. And I'm sure there's enough material to have certain themes throughout the year.
Oh, and absolutely. Well, you've always been heavily involved in the quilts as well.
Oh, well, I was involved with the quilt, yes. But that's now being turned over, I think, to the AIDS Council. They're taking it over.
But isn't the AIDS Council looking at coming into this as well?
Well, they've sold their building.
Yep, they've sold their building, so they're looking for somewhere to go. Yeah.
I think this is a really important one, and it's one that we've got to sort of follow through. Anyone out there that really wants it to happen, because we need that ageing population as part of this group. I think the whole thing.
If you're lucky, you'll all get old.
That's true.
Yes.
That's very true.
Oh, but we've won the bingo. Yay, we've done it. So thank you so much for watching Staying Alive today. We've got to thank Gordon, Leanne and myself, David. And we'll be back again real soon, because we're not too old to be staying alive.
Hi, and welcome to In Between the Sheets with me, Dean Arcuri. Joining me in bed today is Kirsty Webeck and Michael Whelan. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Today we're talking about a really serious topic. It's something that's changed the way we all live. It's destroying our way of life. Is Pokemon Go ruining the way we live today?
How do we live today?
How do we live today?
Well, I'm a little...
Is there some benchmark I'm not meeting?
Well, ever since its release weeks ago, it's taken over the world with people trying to catch things. I don't get it. You play it, Michael.
I do, yes.
You're the resident.
A topic I have an interest in, finally.
What's the appeal, guys?
It's fun. Well, for someone my age, I was at like prime Pokemon level.
40.
When... God, you're rude. I was at prime Pokemon level when it first came out. I was like 11, 12, so I was like right in there. So for me, it's reliving those glory days like 20-something years later.
Wasn't it a card game?
It was a card game as well as a...
I'm such an old man.
as well as a Game Boy game.
Yeah.
So the Game Boy game was where it was at.
It is pretty cool that people are running around actually trying to catch Pokemon.
Yeah.
Is that the plural? Pokemon.
No,
Pokemon.
No, Pokemon.
It's just Pokemon.
Pokemon, it's like sheep.
Okay.
Well, something that I think is great about it is that traditionally people that are really into gaming sort of spend a lot of time indoors, socialising less, like perhaps not exercising as much as they should. And
You're looking at me when you say that, Kirsty. I know you are.
No.
This sheep isn't just for decoration. It's hiding a waist. I know.
But it's getting people out and about in the fresh air.
And exploring their own neighbourhoods.
Exactly.
I'm finding out what all the little artworks are and murals are around my neighbourhood. I'm like, I didn't know what that was.
That's
pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're both on the it's not destroying our way of life.
No, well, to be honest, like I can't commit a great deal to anything, so I've been playing it since the word go, and I'm only on level 8, and
How many
really,
levels are there?
There's a lot, 40.
But it gets exponentially harder to get up to the next level.
But I really, in terms of time frames, I should be dramatically further along.
Okay.
You should.
Like I really should.
You've
But
dropped the ball.
Yeah,
You've dropped the Pokeball.
I have. I've let everyone down.
You have.
But yeah, I've only got myself to blame. But like the thing is that I pick it up every few days, and then when I do, like turn it back on and cruise around, I keep meeting people in my neighbourhood.
So that's really cool.
People stop and have a
awesome.
chat with you.
Yeah.
And people are meeting other friends.
Yeah.
Maybe Pokemon Go is like next level Tinder. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe this is taking dating apps to a whole different level.
I think there's a whole array of privacy concerns.
Okay, that's a good point.
Look, there's a hot guy.
Yeah, it's not catching him. But isn't it? If it's getting people out and making them socialise, I reckon this could revolutionise, because it needs to be revolutionised.
Revolutionise?
Dating apps completely, because they think they're revolutionised already. But revolutionise it completely. Imagine if part of the dating app experience is actually meeting and not just chatting on things.
Oh, imagine that. Well, maybe you could combine the two.
You could.
Yeah, and it could provide new ways, pickup lines and things.
Yeah.
Like, show us your Pikachu.
Show us your Zubat, yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Show us your Pikachu.
You just, sidle up next to somebody on the street and just show us your Pikachu.
I mean, what an interesting way to let people know that they're interested. Like, it's like, you've been caught by so-and-so's Pokeball.
Yeah.
You know? There's
It's like a swipe right.
Yeah, well, but better.
But then what happens if you throw a Pokeball at me and you're Team Instinct?
So what are the teams?
So there's 3 teams. There's a red, a blue, and a yellow team.
Okay. Yellow seems like a nice colour.
It does. I think I'm on blue.
What do they mean? I think
are you on blue as well?
One?
Yeah, it's really funny. A lot of the queer community is Team Mystic, which is Team Blue, which I find really interesting.
So who's Mystic?
Me?
I'm so learned.
What do you mean who's Mystic? So they each have a leader.
Okay.
And that's Team Blanche, and I pretty much picked it because of the amazing name, Team Blanche.
Team Blanche.
Hashtag Team Blanche.
Oh my God, that's great.
So good.
I want to be on Team Sophia or Rose. I think that would be pretty cool. You know, not Dorothy.
Not
Too
Dorothy.
sarcastic. No, I'm not going to have it.
Yeah, no. Dorothy. Dorothy for sure.
Oh, look. How have we transferred into a Golden Girls conversation?
Outside of the Golden Girls conversation and outside of the dating conversation, I was playing Pokemon Go on the tram the other day. And usually I just have my headphones in, I've got my Regina Spektor, no one else needs to pay any attention to me, I don't even look at anyone. Someone could fall down and die and I'd be like, yeah, next track. But this little kid was sitting next to me while I was playing Pokemon Go and he was like, oh, what's that? And we had this conversation for like 10 minutes while I waited to get off my stop. He helped me catch a Clefairy, helped me catch a Zubat.
See, that's
we had
beautiful.
a great conversation.
This is great.
That's beautiful.
It's awesome that it's creating.
I never would have chatted to some like 4-year-old kid. I'd be like, get off me.
It's the one thing I do like, you know, normally when you see people walking around with their phones, it's very much just here. And you know, you don't know what's going on and you can't see anything and they're not looking around. At least with this, it is getting people engaging a little bit more. The one thing that kills me though is when you're walking through the city and everyone's trying to get a Pokemon, they slow down and I just want to get out of my way.
Have you tried to stand in front of the State Library? Impossible.
No, it's now not allowed.
Every single person, it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Every single person is on it, every single one.
I think it's going to make for the next rally that's held at the State Library.
Yeah,
it's like, could you all just put your phones down, please, so we can talk about some important issues?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, there's a Magnemite!
There's one over here. I can catch it.
You could walk through the front of the State Library, stark naked, and no one person would notice.
Are you putting a challenge to me?
Definitely.
Let's test it today.
All right.
It could be done.
After this episode airs, apparently I'm doing a nudie run.
You are. Just that you know I have no bail money.
Well, clearly I'm going to have to sell some things before that's going to happen. But Pokemon Go has made things better for you guys.
I think so.
Yeah, it's made the mobile gaming world more interesting.
It's up the ante.
And yeah, it's a new level of connecting with people that I didn't even know were into Pokemon. Like, the Pokemon wave sort of ended some years ago, really.
Yeah, let's be honest.
So it's brought all of those people sort of out of their little caves. It's like, oh, you were into Pokemon? I was into Pokemon.
I actually love, the thing I've loved about it the most is how much my mum hates it. So whenever someone's playing
if your mother hates it, you know it's good.
Like, why are you on that stupid game? And you can just see that vein throbbing, and I love it. Like that's why I want people to kind of just play it around her, just because it drives her that nuts. I want to get my 2-year-old nephew onto it, just because it'll irritate the crap out of my mum, which I reckon is a good way to go.
Do you have the dexterity yet? Probably not.
No, I'm very good, even though I don't have the game. I'm very good at catching things for other people. Like one flick and I'm there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I just don't care about it.
Yeah, well, maybe it's that apathy. Like, you're all cool, calm and collected when you do it.
Yeah, and so the Pokemon's like, I'll get in the ball, I'll get in the ball.
Yeah, there's like
I do
no pressure.
love watching people. It's like, I can't do it. But hey, okay, so Pokemon Go is not destroying our way of lives.
It is not.
No.
Thank you for joining me in bed today, guys.
Anytime.
I look forward to having you in bed with me again next time. We'll see you then.